One. Hugh, thank you so much for joining us today on our video interview series at Love Recruitment. For our network, this is Hugh Hanley. He's currently the Chief Information Officer of My PT Hub, and previously to this was also the head of personal training and fitness at some great brands, including Virgin Active. Firstly, Hugh, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, and looking forward to having a good chat.
Absolutely. Hugh, again, the purpose of this is to add some real value to our network, and especially operators, senior operators in the fitness space, along with gym owners and personal trainers. As you know, we've got 6 questions for you. So without any further ado, let's get started. Hugh, my first question for you is, a lot of our audience will obviously know about My PT Hub. Most of them will. But for those who don't, tell us a little bit about the company and the product.
Yeah, so My PT Hub is a personal trainer software platform that we had created. It was created by a guy called Phil about 6 years ago. When I was head of fitness at Virgin Active, Phil came to try and sell me the product, and that's how I got to know Phil and meet the product. And the version 1 of the product wasn't what it needed to be, but he listened to feedback and evolved it into a great product that it is today. So at the moment, there's nearly 90,000 trainers that use My PT Hub around the world. And then we've got 2.3 million clients of those trainers. So what it is, we basically create everything that a personal trainer needs to do to run a business in the one-to-one sense of it, and then through the online element of it. So kind of probably one of the first 5 or 6 to market as the digital revolution started 4 or 5 years ago. And obviously the last kind of 12 to 14 months, that's only gone one way, and that's up, I guess. So it's been an interesting time for everyone, but ultimately we are just everything that a personal trainer needs to run a business is the easiest elevator pitch.
Perfect, good. Now again, I've personally followed My PT Hub for a long time now, and it's just great to see how you guys have grown, to be honest, and the feedback we get from PTs is it's constantly improving, which is the best thing you could hope for, right?
Yeah, and they're a hard audience to keep happy, so you have to always keep evolving, and you always need to be thinking, listen to their feedback and then pushing forward. And no piece of tech is perfect, so we all need to kind of keep evolving. And in our world, the trainer is our customer, so we have to listen to them and then move as fast as we can to help them get better online.
Absolutely. Now, we obviously are in the COVID world, and it's affected all businesses. How has it affected My PT Hub, if at all? And have you had to change your business model? How has it been, I guess, over the last 12 months?
Yeah, so trajectory was going very well with My PT Hub going into COVID, because a lot more trainers were trying to go online. They were trying to kind of get an online business going. This is January 2020, and then COVID hit. And then we had this race where everybody was trying to get online. So obviously everyone was jumping on our platform, trying to understand it and move forward. And then which is great for us. We then kind of had 2 kind of pivot changes that we needed to do, where we were talking to a lot of operators about helping them get online. And that was a slow project about working with them, understanding their business, to an influx of operators going, we need to get digital, help us get online. We need to start making money because our PT revenue is shut down. So that was the first kind of one where we were like, well, actually, how do we pivot slightly to move this faster? And then probably one that caught us off guard the most of this whole COVID was we had loads of trainers starting to freeze around the world. And we didn't know how to deal with that because we didn't have a freeze policy in place. And obviously trainers are always working. They're always making money online or in the digital. And then, the trainers are going on furlough, and they're just freezing their accounts. And that was, for us, was a real interesting one, where we were like, well, actually, we need to come up with a freeze. What does that look like? And that was the only real speed bump we had. Other than that, being in the tech world and not being in bricks and mortar, it's been nothing but good news for us in the growth and the trajectory of the business.
Absolutely. And it's also great how you've been able to support the traditional gyms, right? In terms of actually giving them a solution to help their PTs get on board straight away. That's incredible, isn't it?
Yeah, and it was just giving the trainers something that a lot of brands came to us, operators, and they just wanted to be seen to do something to help the trainers in the early days of COVID, to help them still make money and survive. And I suppose like anyone at the start of COVID, we saw a race to everybody putting free content online, and then people had to retrospectively come back and go, how do I make money out of this? And that was probably the most interesting thing for us, because we obviously had loads of trainers who were successful, and we had all the insights to what trainers were doing to be successful. But then all of a sudden you had this influx of people just giving away free stuff and not understanding, how do I make money in the digital world? Which is where we were able to give great value through different webinar series and understanding. We created like a PT blueprint to help trainers get up online and get them to be successful. And ultimately our success is by helping trainers be successful because they stay longer in the platform. You know, it's a simple business model.
Perfect. Okay. How does My PT Hub differentiate itself from the competition? What are the USPs, I guess?
Yeah, so there's a lot of good platforms out there, and a lot of them doing really good stuff. I think our biggest USP is we try to keep everything in one place, so the member doesn't need to have any more than the My PT Hub app on their phone. Whereas some of our competitors might have 3 or 4 different apps, and that will integrate into the main app, which gives them like an overview or a dashboard. So we try to keep everything in one place, and that's kind of our main USP. I suppose from a business model USP, which is probably what we push to market the most, is as a trainer grows and becomes more successful online, we don't take any more of a share of it. Whereas a lot of our competitors might say, you know, 0 to 5 clients are X, 10 to 20 clients are Y, and they charge the more clients you put in the platform. Whereas we just are very much like Netflix. It's a subscription model, and whether you have 1 client or 1,000 clients, the fee never changes. So your success doesn't get penalized.
Perfect. And I can imagine PTs absolutely loving that. And also gives them the incentive to just grow and not know that any more percentage is going to anyone else, right? Brilliant. Yeah.
Yeah, there is days though, I look at some trainers and the money they're making on a monthly basis, I'm like, I'm only taking £40 a month. Yeah,
exactly.
It's the right thing to do.
Absolutely. Now, moving more about, I guess, on a holistic approach for the industry now and everything as well. So where do you see the fitness industry in 12 months' time? And, you know, it's, you know, I think, you know, you've obviously had great insights being such a successful operator, and now obviously being a supplier to the industry as well. And I guess, you know, what advice would you have for operators in this time?
Yeah, it's a real tough one, because I think until you really know how the member behaves when the gyms open up, especially in the UK, it's hard to know. You know, everyone's saying hybrid, and it'll definitely be an element of it, but until we see how the member actually behaves, it's hard to kind of know what is the right way to go. I think it's an exciting time, speaking about from an operator, from a PT perspective. I think you're going to have different ways of making money out of trainers that you've never had before. And I'm probably a little bit surprised not more operators have switched on to that yet. And by that, I mean, as in, you know, you're going to have your traditional member who comes in and does one-to-one personal training with your PT. You're then going to have your hybrid, which is I might train with a trainer, you know, once a month, but then I'll actually do a digital product as part of my membership with that person. And then you have this other person, which nobody seems to be talking about, which is the connected member, which is a member who actually never visits your facility, but likes your brand, likes your ethos, and likes what it is that your trainers bring to the table. And I think that's a fascinating model that not many people are really focusing on, because, you know, with the big gym chains, you have this massive brand footprint. But if you don't have a facility near where I am, for the first time ever now, I can connect to you and actually enjoy access to your trainers, your programs, your digital products. So I think there's 3 levels of tiers that you're going to see in the future. And from a PT side of it, you know, the operators have an opportunity to start making money from all these different revenue streams. And I think if they don't get online and get digital, they're going to see trainers do it themselves. And then trainers will be in a situation where they'll be like, why am I working for this operator when I'm making more online? So I think it's a big piece where operators need to start thinking about, how can we use our brand to engage trainers into these digital products, and how do we make some money off it? And then, you know, the plus side of it is, from only making money in the one-to-one element 12 months ago, 12 months from now, you can make money in 2 or 3 different elements through digital. So your revenues will only go one direction in my eyes.
Amazing. You mentioned connector, which I found fascinating. Do you almost mean that you could almost have someone living in the north of the country, but they like a London boutique or a London operator, and they can actually now, previously you could never ever be a member of that club, could you? Because you can't go and train there. But now you could almost have a membership with someone, and obviously geography doesn't make a difference anymore, does it?
Exactly. And you might be following a trainer that you really like online who works for one of these operators you speak about. And now I can get access to that trainer, to that programs, and to that business that I could never get exposure to before. And like you say, I might never be in a situation where I can train in that facility, but I want to buy into that image, that brand, that association. And these people now, it's okay to do remote coaching and digital products online, whereas 12 months ago, a lot of people were very skeptical around it. So I think there's going to be a big need for trainers to get their PT businesses online and understand how to grow that. I think the operators have done a great job of getting group exercise online. Yeah. And I take my hat off to every operator. In the last 12 months, you go online and everyone's got a timetable, everyone's doing a Zoom, and there's all these cool classes. But what about the personal training businesses? And as the clubs open up, if you're digital, you can get great analytics through the tech that trainers are using, which means you can have better reporting, which means you can know when to intervene with a trainer to spot when there's a risk that they're not, hitting the KPIs you've set them. Like I said, you can create digital products, body transformation, weight loss products, rehabilitation products, work from home products that trainers can do and push out to clients. And you've got all these coaching tools as well that you can do, and remote coaching, and you can, an operator can now cross over into a corporate wellness strategy because everybody's, now working from home a bit more. So there's all these other. For me, if I was back in the hot seat as a head of fitness, I'd be just thinking of all these opportunities that didn't exist before. How do I just take a piece of the pie, and how do I actually help my trainers make more money to become more successful so they stay with me longer and leverage my brand? And that for me is the exciting thing. If I was in a head of fitness and all my mates who are head of fitness, I'm kind of going to them, why are you not doing this? Like, there's so much money on the table that wasn't there 12 months ago. Get on it.
Yeah, absolutely. You make such good points there, Hugh, in terms of, I think it's very much, fitness is so in people's minds. And actually, COVID, one of the probably few positives, almost has taught us how to access it digitally, hasn't it? Whereas before, there's obviously, I know people doing with this, a bit of hesitation with a lot of people, whereas now it just seems to be, people have almost had to teach themselves in terms of, okay, how do I access fitness without being there, which is, So
it's definitely an exciting time. Obviously, it's been very tough, but I think now as things are settling down a bit, there's a lot of good opportunity available. And for operators and for trainers, I think there's a lot more ways of making money than there ever has been. And that's the positive after all the last 12 to 14 months of pain.
Amazing. Leading on to, you talked a lot of PTs there. What advice would you give personal trainers who are looking to start their online fitness business? We recently did a PT survey. I think 70% of trainers were basically responded saying that they would want to start an online fitness business, or they will take moves, decisions to do that this year. What advice would you give them?
Oh God, I could go on for hours on this one, so I'll try to keep it short, because I've been helping loads of my friends get online. So I think the first thing is you really need to understand what it is you're passionate about as a trainer. Yeah. So if it's weight loss or if it's triathlon, make sure you know what you're passionate about, what people you want to train. So a lot of trainers don't really understand the demographics. So what is it, the kind of client, the financial state. So what sort of product prices are you going to create? What niche are you going after? What is the problem you're trying to solve is a huge one. So what is it you're trying to do? So if it's weight loss, or if it's, there's a big opportunity as well in this long-term COVID effects. All these people that have had COVID and are affected by COVID are now going to suffer with a bit of long-term COVID. So there's a huge opportunity for trainers to get online and support these people with long-term COVID. And then what is the product you're going to pull together? So I think you got to go through those kind of 4 Ps about what it is you're passionate about, what is the problem, what is the product, and then what it is, how you're going to put it all together. And then when you go into the digital world, the next level of that is creating your business model. So what we see inside our platform with trainers who are hugely successful is they have a membership model, which is really interesting for PTs. And a membership model could be $5.99 or $9.99. And that could be access to a couple of, programs, access to their weekly blogs, access to a private Facebook group. So ultimately something that people are going to pay $5.99 or $9.99 to be connected to your ecosystem. Right. And then you'll also have trainers. Then the next tier up from that is they create digital products, which will be around what they're passionate about. So weight loss, body transformation, long COVID, rehabilitation, for a 12-week programs that people can buy. And then you'll have your premium price point, which is your one-to-one. And that's where you can do a physical session. So it could be in a gym like this where we can train together, or that could be me coming here and doing remote coaching to you through Zoom and getting you to do a session. And that would be my premium price point. But what you have now as a PT, you've created those 3 different tier business models that never existed before. So that's, then when you have the business model, the next piece of that pie is, how do I effectively walk the gym floor in a digital world? And by that I mean is that if I'm a new trainer and I come into a health club, walking the gym floor is my inductions, my interactions, and getting to know people inside the gym. It's the same mentality in the digital world. I need to think about what I'm going to put on my social media to brand myself, to talk to people. What am I going to put in my blogs, my weekly emails to capture my audience of people? And then they are the people you can then sell to. And I think a lot of trainers don't understand that walking the gym floor in the digital world is, you still need to do the interactions. You still need to play the numbers game to convert these into clients. It doesn't just happen because you've got a digital product and a nice app.
Amazing. I loved how you summarized that. I really do. And I was actually writing down notes, and I think there's so much you said there. I think the 4 Ps was so important. I think it's so important trainers find their niche, I guess, and know this is what I do. And almost go, I heard something from someone the other day, like, if you're speaking to everybody, you're speaking to nobody, right? It almost is, finding that is so important. And then actually, the way you describe those different levels of almost a membership or connections, PTs have never had that before, have they? Before, there's always been the one thing, come do one-on-one coaching with me. Whereas now,
and exactly, think about it. If you sell a digital product, and this could be like, if you're passionate about weight loss, you create an 8-week weight loss journey. When those people finish the 8-week weight loss journey, you then sell them into your £9.99 a pound membership. And then they stay in there. You have some basic workouts, some basic community for them. But then when they want to go again, they're the people that upgrade into your membership, into your digital products. But if you think about it as a trainer, if I have 5 years experience and I'm, putting 20 to 30 people in there every year, which is really low numbers, but all of a sudden after 5 years, you have 100 people in your base paying you the direct debit, but they're also the people that are upgrading into your different membership options and digital products. And that's the exciting thing. For the first time ever, trainers have reoccurring revenue that never existed before.
Absolutely. Exciting time. It couldn't be a more exciting time to be a PT, in my opinion. Absolutely. Yeah. A final question for you is probably more of a personal one, because I do love a good book recommendation. Any good book recommendations from you?
Oh God, I'm the same. Especially because I have a dog, so I'm like power walking every morning. I train here and then I go for an hour power walk for my cardio, and I'm on my audiobooks all day long. And the 2 that have really impacted me the most, that I've loved in the last 12 months, is The Ride of a Lifetime by Robert Eager. So he's the ex-Disney, head of Disney. Right. And it's all about leadership, and he really owns being a great leader. And he talks about like taking responsibility, leading from the front. And, if anything goes wrong in one of the Disney parks, he's personally responsible, and he takes that on his shoulder versus his team. So that was phenomenal from a business perspective. Yeah. From a personal perspective, there's a book that I just love by a guy called Trevor Moward, and it's called It Takes What It Takes. And he is known as the sports psychologist to the pro athletes. Okay. He is all about positive thinking is good, negative thinking is dangerous, but neutral thinking is where you need to be, as in it takes what it takes. If you want the result, you got to go through the process. Thinking positive isn't enough. And I love that, because I'm one of these people that loves positive thinking, but then I'm also aware if I want to get in shape, I got to turn up and train. I can't just think about getting in shape.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for that. I'm going to be on my Waterstones account after this, ordering some books. Well, Hugh, thank you so much for joining us today for this. Generally found it so useful, and I'm sure our entire network's going to find it great as well. Thank you so much again for your time.
Thanks for having me.
Cool. Cheers, Hugh.